We are staying on top of developing news on WFMY News 2 at 6. It has been a day of tornado warnings across our area as Tropical Depression Fred sweeps through the southeast.
The western Piedmont has been hit the hardest so far, where a tornado touched down in Wilkes County this afternoon. Take a look. This is video of that tornado in Wilkes. It touched down in Rhonda, just west of Elkin. Now here is another view of that. You can see the funnel cloud right in the middle of your screen. That appears to be the tornado ripping across the small town.
And this is a live look tonight at some of the damage on Clingman Road in Rhonda. The storm tore up a barn there. The Rhonda Volunteer Fire Department has been responding to calls all afternoon in the area. This is one of several spots on Clingman Road to see damage. These are photos of a home just up the road from that barn. You can see the siding tore off the side of the house, leaving the interior exposed to the wind and rain. Debris fell into the driveway and firefighters helped put a tarp up to protect the house. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
Well, check out this video of a possible tornado south of the Piedmont in Iredell County. Someone took this video in Union Grove, dark clouds and what looks to be a tornado spinning in the distance.
The storms are also threatening parts of Catawba County tonight, northwest of Charlotte. Rescue teams from the Greensboro and Winston-Salem fire departments are headed there now to help with the response.
Let's now get to our chief meteorologist, Tim Buckley, for the latest on these storms. Tim, the threat could continue early into the morning.
Yeah, the trick of this is if you look outside right now, everything truly is fine here in the Triad. The problem is I expect it's going to get worse late this evening and into the overnight. Let me show you why. If we look at the wide radar right now, look at all of the red boxes to our south and to the west. This is pretty significant here. You don't see this very often in the Carolinas. We're dry, we're fine, but we have a band here. Then we have another band back there. Both of those are related to Tropical Depression Fred. Both of those are headed our way. So later on this evening, we could have the same deal with multiple tornado warnings at the same time. As I mentioned, everything in the Triad right now is quiet. You could actually do what you'd like to do between now and let's say probably around 8 o'clock or so. But after that, I kind of want you home and paying attention to your phone. You can go to bed, but make sure you have a way to get those alerts because take a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different tornado warnings from the Asheville area to Greenville, South Carolina, closer to Charlotte as well. All of those are trying to head closer to us. The severe weather risk is pretty high, especially in the foothill counties. We have a 10% risk in any given location of a tornado. Again, that's high compared to what we usually see with a storm like this. Going into tonight, here's Futurecast. This is around 11 and 12. There's 1 and 2 a.m. That means we might have a late night tracking weather for you. Coming up, we'll have a look at what the storm does as it exits, when it gets out of here, and what the rest of our week looks like.
With such a big storm, there were so many pictures and video coming in today, but there's one you really need to see one more time. A viewer took video of the tornado in Rhonda as it touched down. Right there, scary, looks like it comes right for them. You can see the funnel forming just below the big dark cloud at the top of your screen. Then the twister connects with the ground. It is something most of us never want to see, but one couple was standing right there when it all happened.
It was like calm, it was sunny, and you heard the birds chirping, and then all of a sudden, we heard wind whooshing and going around. So my boyfriend was picking up a TV to move it into the house, and all of a sudden he was like, "Where's your phone? Where's your phone?" And he turned around and started videoing, and then it just picked up. A tornado started forming, a small one, and then it went away, and then it formed again, and a piece of metal or something flew through the air, and you can see it on the video. It's crazy.
So glad they're okay. Sydney says none of her property was damaged. Now remember, this is still a risk of severe weather in Wilkes County through the evening. Stick with us to stay weather aware.
Ben, thanks. The storm swept through Florida and Georgia before pushing into our state. Trees fell on houses across Georgia, leaving behind a lot of damage. Take a look at this, a flooded portion of I-85 just north of Atlanta. You can see cars in the right lanes slowing way down to drive through rising water. And this is video from South Georgia. A tree smashed through a woman's apartment. The owner of the complex says she was in the process of getting outside as that tree came down. The storm initially slammed into the Florida Panhandle. Video shows rain and wind battering the coastline there. Water crept onto roads, power lines came down, and now the cleanup begins.
The remnants of Fred are still churning across the southeast. Stay with us on air and online for the very latest.
We are on top of breaking news in Greensboro tonight. City Council member Michelle Kennedy has just resigned. Mayor Nancy Vaughn read her resignation letter at the start of tonight's City Council meeting. It reads in part, "It has been my great honor to represent the people of Greensboro. I am sorry to be leaving before the end of my term." Kennedy's letter did not say why she's leaving her post. We are working to get in touch with her right now so she can explain further. Kennedy was an at-large member of Greensboro City Council. She first joined council in 2017. Council says that they will figure out how to fill her role at a later date.
A busy Greensboro road back open, a suspect in custody. Police shut down all lanes of Gate City Boulevard near Hackett Street for hours because of a standoff. They say a man barricaded himself inside of a building, refusing to come out. Investigators say the suspect is 26-year-old Edward Hubbard Jr. They say he has a long criminal history. Today, officers were trying to serve outstanding warrants against him for several charges, including assault by strangulation.
Certainly, we want to err on the side of caution because of that history and treat him as if he's armed, just to keep us safe and keep the neighbors safe as well, which is our primary focus.
Hubbard is now in custody and all roads are back open.
We've seen some big increases in the number of North Carolinians in the hospital with coronavirus. The number jumped 156 from just yesterday. Guilford County alone added 11 patients from yesterday. Our state has now surpassed 2,800. This is the 8th time in 2 weeks this number has jumped more than 100 from one day to the next. It's been a while since we've seen a number above 2,800. The last time was in late January as we were coming off of that spike, the major spike, the biggest one we've seen in the pandemic. Back then, our number peaked just under 4,000.
New tonight, an Alamance Burlington High School postpones its season opening football game because of coronavirus. Southern Alamance was set to play Graham High School this Friday. They say the decision to postpone has to do with suspected COVID-19 cases among coaches and athletes. They say they are following state and county guidance. For now, the team's practices are suspended until more guidance is given. The threat of canceled games, quarantines, and further spread of the Delta variant has at least one Triad school district rethinking its mask rules. Davie County Schools is changing course and will now require them in classrooms. WFMY News 2's Jenna Kurzina has a closer look at the decision and whether other districts will reconsider.
Masks should be worn by those who choose to wear them.
It just makes me frustrated because this is my child. I want to make decisions for her.
Some parents are not happy about Davie County Schools reversing its decision to make mask optional.
I get that there is, the health risk. I understand that, but where does it end? Like, when are we going to stop wearing the mask? The children wore masks last year. We all complied.
I'm not saying that COVID-19 is not real. I'm not saying the new variants aren't real. I'm not saying that the hospitalizations aren't real and the effects of this virus aren't real. All I'm saying is just as much as you have a choice to mask, we should have the choice not to mask.
Davie County School Superintendent Jeff Wallace announced the decision Monday. At first, the school board voted to make mask optional. Now it will require masks for all students and staff inside buildings and on buses. Many parents wonder why the change.
Parents, I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't this way. But many are glad that we're masking. We feel like that is the safest. This is not a debate about whether masks work or not. This is not a debate about science. This is the guidelines that we're directed, that we're given, that if you are mask optional, you will quarantine a lot more children.
Superintendent Wallace says the district will continue to monitor COVID-19 trends for the county, and they could change their decision again later on. Other districts with optional mask plan to stick with those plans.
Fred moving through the Carolinas this afternoon and evening, giving a lot of tornado warnings. We're in the clear for a couple of hours, but after that, this thing moving through in that nighttime time frame could be causing some issues for us. I'm already seeing a lot of tornado warnings popping up in South Carolina, and that's something we're going to find a lot more of as we get closer to the late night. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 going on right now. Coming up, I'll time up those bands for you to let you know when they're rolling through the Triad and what comes up after this storm pushes through our area.
Mold and leftover food welcoming new college students in their new apartment units. This is not what Greensboro students signed up for.
Now many are trying to break their leases at Block 43. A closer look at the units and how students are responding. Next. These are just some of the photos of poor conditions where college students are living in Greensboro. Many families complaining about one apartment complex in particular. It's called Block 43.
Some students are so upset they want to break their lease. They told WFMY News 2's Avery Powell these conditions are just unacceptable.
Stuck doors, damage, mold. That's what students moving into Block 43 in Greensboro found when they arrived at their new home Sunday.
Gross. It was just like, I can't believe that this is actually happening.
The apartment complex has an agreement with North Carolina A&T for housing, but students like Morgan Crowder say they fell short. Crowder says she arrived Sunday morning but wasn't able to get into her apartment until 10 at night due to key problems.
It was exhausting, and it was supposed to rain that day, but it didn't rain until it was time to move in. So the entire day was clear, and it was dark and raining by the time we got a chance to get into the apartment.
One student tells me it's added stress.
It's just a lot of runarounds. It's just a lot of stuff that we have to do to live comfortably, somewhat comfortably, and get through school.
Varsity Campus owns Block 43 and blames staffing shortages for the issues. NCAB did provide accommodations for students over the weekend, but both Smith and Crowder say management needs to take responsibility.
It absolutely is not acceptable.
In Greensboro, Avery Powell, WFMY News 2.
We asked the apartment complex owner, Varsity Campus, as well as A&T for an update on what is being done to help these students. We have not heard back yet.
Of course, weather is still a big deal. We've seen incredible pictures from the western foothills earlier today, and that sky really changing fast. No matter where you are in the Piedmont this afternoon, we've seen some sun, some clouds, and downpours rolling through from time to time. A lot of us haven't had much rain yet, but there's still some bands heading our way. Others have seen upwards of 1 to 2 inches, like in Mount Airy. There's been plenty of that earlier today. Wanted to show you this loop so you can see the storm and how it's changing hour by hour. As it gets closer to us, it's almost accelerating a little bit. This is the center of what used to be Tropical Storm Fred. Now it's just a tropical depression. But see how this line is becoming the stronger one? We saw that first one, that's weakening a little bit. Now this is the main one here in South Carolina with a lot of lightning and several tornado warnings right now. A lot of reports of tornadoes, and the day is, well, really not even half over just yet. I want to show you how this has been changing over the last couple of minutes from Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina. This is the line we're going to have to watch most carefully later on this evening. They only have a couple tornado warnings on this right now, but earlier they just had 8 all at the same time. Our risk of a tornado is going up by the late afternoon hours and really into the late evening and overnight. And the reason is that's where the center of the storm gets closer to us. Take a look at Futurecast. This is around 11 o'clock tonight or so. I think it's a little on the slow side. This could be even as early as 10 o'clock. Notice how strong some of those storms are forecast to be by 11 and 12 o'clock tonight. Here's 1 and 2 o'clock this morning. And then by 3 and 4, they're weakening and pushing farther away. Bottom line, I want you to stay weather aware. What does that mean? Well, number one, it means pay attention. Keep on checking up for any warnings the next few hours, but especially going to bed with a plan. Make sure you have ways to receive those warnings, your alerts are turned on, and you're tuned into us when they buzz, and get to your safe spot where you can continue to watch our coverage to keep you informed. Fred goes away early tomorrow. I don't see any issues after sunrise. We'll actually clear quite quickly after that. But bottom line, that tornado risk is with us, and I'm especially watching the 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. time frame. I think that's when we see most of our action here in the Triad tonight. Into tomorrow we go. It's a little breezy in the morning. Those showers kind of tapering off quickly by midday, and we have a nice afternoon of weather. 7-day forecast, it gets warm and muggy again. We'll be right around the 90-degree mark for most of the rest of the week, and we'll be watching just typical late-day pop-up showers and storms. Stick with us tonight for that best coverage in the Triad.
A Greensboro woman is among the few who can now get a third shot of the coronavirus vaccine. Letitia Baxter says she has HIV and other health conditions that make it difficult for her to function. On top of the extra precautions she takes, she says a third dose will be beneficial.
I believe the third dose, it will help a great deal of people. If they take the shot, keep the mask on, where we can control this virus.
We also heard from Dr. David Priest with Novant Health. He anticipates the FDA will approve a third dose of the vaccine for everyone in the coming months.
It's not just storms in western North Carolina today. Officials confirmed an earthquake in Morganton. The town is only about an hour south of Rhonda, where the tornado touched down. The U.S. Geological Survey confirms a 2.7 magnitude earthquake hit the town this morning. So far, no reports of damage. The earthquake in Haiti was far more severe. A 7.2 magnitude quake hit over the weekend. Just this afternoon, officials say nearly 2,000 people are dead and thousands more are injured. Hospitals in smaller towns can barely take in more patients. United Nations will send $8 million from its emergency response fund to provide health care, clean water, shelter, and sanitation for people impacted by this disaster. And just this afternoon, Samaritan's Purse, based in North Carolina, announced they are helping in Haiti. They left Greensboro this morning on a cargo plane to deploy an emergency field hospital. It's a 36-bed unit with labs and pharmacy equipment. In all, they sent 46 people to the disaster area.
I swear I could look at these beauties all day long. The Olympic gold medals won by your own North Carolina A&T Aggies over in Tokyo. We had a gold for Randolph Ross Jr. along with a gold and a bronze medal for runner Trevor Stewart. The duo were the first ever to win Olympic medals for the university, and they actually met with the media earlier today to discuss their monumental achievements. Both medalists shared how special the last couple of months have been.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a confidence booster to come back with 2 Olympic medals, let alone 1 by itself. But it brings like a sense of joy in self, but I don't let it go to my head because as I got it, it can always be taken away just at a blink of an eye.
So being able to come back and repeat it my sophomore year, it shows that not only is we capable of doing anything, but as long as we continue our training, do everything like we're supposed to be doing, going years forward, we're going to be the people that are going to be the problem in the future.
Ross Jr., who spoke second there in that soundbite, will begin his junior year in the days ahead, while Stewart has since graduated and aims to run track professionally. We're back after this.
All right, it's one of those days where I talk too much. That's kind of what's going on here. We do have more tornado warnings in South Carolina at the moment. And you kind of see what's happening. We have these bands rotating our way, some of them weakening before they get here, but that one does mean business. We'll track that closer into that 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. time frame. I know that's really late. We'll be here. We'll let you know what's going on. If tornado warnings are issued, make sure you have a safe place to get to and turn us on for that coverage because we'll have it.
It's okay if you talk like you are a trusted source. So thank you, Tim.
It's a lot of talking.
I'm petitioning for overtime, so
well,
for you.
Thank you.
We'll see you at 11. Good night.
WFMY News 2 is brought to you by West Shore Home, making bath remodeling faster, easier, and more affordable.